3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Hey, and welcome back to Cartoon Clash, where we put two cartoons against each other. We're doing Cartoon Network, and the next matchup is Dexter's Laboratory and We Bare Bears. Again, both like a classic cartoon and a newer cartoon, from like the newer Cartoon Network. So
shall stand.
And again, we didn't plan any of this. We put all these shows into a randomizer. These matchups weren't planned at all.
A lot of them were like classic versus new, which I didn't plan on.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Well, I didn't even notice it either. It's a bit of a conspiracy. Huh.
Dexter's Lab.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Yeah, it's
doesn't
very
get
classic.
any more classic than this, actually.
It's on Boomerang, so you know it's old now.
Yeah, isn't Dexter like the first like official cartoon?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I remember seeing like parts of it, or the pilot on the Water Cartoon Show, along with like a bunch of others, and like I really liked it as a kid.
It was my favorite.
Yeah,
it was my absolute favorite. I'm gonna let you know right off the bat. I'm leaning towards Dexter's Lab for this one.
Same.
Yeah.
Like we can talk about each show before we get to a final verdict, but like, because I've been watching We Bare Bears on Netflix. It's a cute show. Good slice of life. I like the characters.
It's a very comfy show.
Like you can tell that they take a lot of inspiration from their surroundings, and I can only imagine the folks who make this or the folks who work on it are from San Francisco or some kind of homes there, whatever. But it's very Southern California or California in general, with the like city life, with the variety of characters, nature, the messages. There was an episode my girlfriend and I recently watched where the bears were making their own Uber service.
Oh yeah,
and they were running people around, and one of the people they're running around were two brides who got married. And it's like, that's cool, like that's neat representation, and that's indicator of like, I guess, representation. So that's neat.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like in the 70s when Hanna-Barbera first started having the first like black cartoon characters being the star of the show.
I guess sometimes you have to wait for society to catch up with you and do this stuff, because typically artists are a bit more progressive than others.
So with We Bare Bears, it was based on like a webcomic, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just a little slice of life comic also. It's pretty much the same thing.
But like the thing I enjoy about We Bare Bears is it's progressive, but it doesn't ever acknowledge that. It's very much just these three bears living their lives, and like the thing is that nothing sticks out all too much, because you get all these different stories about the citizens of the town, but that's very much like stories you could see in other shows. But since it's so simplified, it feels real, but it therefore also doesn't ever like stick in my head for a while.
Right.
Yeah, it's not preachy, but also like not all that iconic, and that might be a good thing. But it's the perfect show to just have on in the background. I usually enjoy it for just like playing some games alongside it or something.
It's charming. It's a very charming show. Though there are some side characters where I'm like, wow, you're incredibly boring. I like Charlie. Charlie's a great character. The Bigfoot character. There's a character named Daryl. So fucking boring. Like every episode he's in, I'm like, what's the appeal of this guy? He's boring. That's another thing about this show, is how, like, again, I mentioned modern, because you see a lot of Panda's got his phone. There's a lot of things that it's like, yeah, this is like
Panda's a freaking weeb.
Yeah, he's a weeb. There are things in the show where it's like, yeah, this is very much so like in the like post 2012 onward, with like online dating and apps and memes and jokes and society.
It's got to be interesting how well the show holds up in a few years.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I criticized the show once for like being, maybe it'll be dated, but I had to wonder like how many of these things will stick around. Like obviously cell phones are not going to go away anytime soon.
Right.
Well, there's things like sometimes you can't avoid it, where there is just something that you currently have to use. They put it in the show, and then it gets outdated. Like, I think regular show, when I'm on it, is great in that regard, because it always brings back old technology, and like, that's hilarious.
We'll get to that one.
We'll get to that. Yeah. But I'm just
Yeah.
using that as an example because you're right, Pam. There could be something in the show where it's like, well, that was a trend, or that's been replaced. Now it's dated. But you can only do with what you know, with what's going on.
Yeah.
Versus, okay, let's bring up a show that's about technology. It's part of the shtick, Dexter's Lab.
Yeah.
You got this little kid who has a secret lab. I love the premise. I love the characters. I love the humor.
It's hilarious. It's a very hilarious show.
Yeah, the show's
the
still
action.
The action is phenomenal.
Robots. I love that. Like it's got. I mean, I don't know if Gindi was heavily inspired by anime, but like
Yeah, he was.
I feel
he
like
was. Okay.
Yeah.
There's so many things in that show where it's like, especially the episode where Dexter goes to Japan. I love that episode. That is one of my favorite episodes of anything from Cartoon Network.
And then like
that was supposedly the final episode, and then they had that weird extra season with all.
Yeah.
all the-
Well, wasn't
Yeah.
Ego Trip
We
supposed to be
don't-
like
we
the
don't
series
mention that.
finale?
the
That
Ego
was-
Trip.
Yeah.
Ego Trip was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ego Trip was
Tripping.
amazing. Like that's one of those like the thing about Dexter is like when you watch the series, you're just saying, okay, yeah, I can see what this is. Like it's like a great premise, is fun, but you don't expect him to go like out of there with it or like add like certain characters that you're like, oh crap, that's freaking awesome. Like the freaking monkey, of course, monkey like
Yeah.
going through space, and then the super friends, like
The
hero
Justice Friends.
Justice Friends, yeah, just like have them going around, just like, oh, you got a parody of Thor, parody of the Hulk, parody of Captain America, Superman,
Yeah.
you know, just
And there's
the
like
works.
even parodies
Yeah.
of like more superheroes throughout it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Justice Friends might be my favorite part about the show.
Yeah,
Not even
they did a
Dexter's
parody
Lab,
of Black
per
Panther
se, but-
before he had a movie.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they did it
One
because
thing that is like I didn't know who the Avengers were at the time, so I saw this, and I remember seeing some commercial, some milk commercial where some milkman's delivering milk to some mansion, and he gets interviewed by the Avengers, and that's where I
Oh, yeah,
realized,
that
wait a
Gone Milk
minute,
commercial.
the Justice Friends are parodies of these Marvel characters I've never seen.
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things like back then, the 90s, like even though not a lot of people knew Iron Man, stuff like that, but they had like all those 90s Marvel shows with the Incredible
Yeah.
Hulk, Fantastic Four, Iron Man, you know, X-Men, of course, was a big thing. So it's cool to see like little parodies of those and go like, I
Yeah.
get that reference. I understand that little reference.
this
that they're
is
doing.
go
The
ahead.
thing about Dexter is like you didn't need to know those were parodies to enjoy them.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, and also the show had its own original stuff to like complement it, and also like I mean, this is kind of I know this is for another verses later on, but like Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab, that's the same universe as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Well, they are. The Justice Friends were in the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
straight up. But like I mean, okay, so but Dexter's Lab, I mean, for me, great episodes, great concept. I absolutely adore the interactions. It's one of those classic comedy duos where it's like the stubborn, you know, short-tempered, I'm angry, leave me alone, versus the dumb, you know, everything goes their way. It's Squidward versus SpongeBob, you know?
Yeah.
And it worked. Man, dog. The episode, one of my favorite characters has to be Dexter's dad. Like, he kind of reminds me of Stan Marsh.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, you mean Randy Marsh or like Stan?
Oh,
Randy
I'm
Marsh.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like what South Park's basically is, the Randy Marsh show. Yeah, I love just everything about it. It was a show that like really
Everything.
cemented-
Do you like those last like
No,
episodes?
no,
You don't like the episode where the monkey and the duck made out passionately with each other?
That was
Wait, what?
key to unlocking my first fetish. No,
I
but
don't think I've seen that one.
yeah,
I'll link it to you after this.
You know, it's weird because this show like launched a lot of talent. Which I think like somebody in the madness like actually said that. So because like it has Gindi behind it, and he went on to create a lot of great stuff. It has Craig McCracken in it, Rob Renzetti, Paul Rudish, which makes the Mickey Mouse shorts now.
There's some amazing talent worked on the show. The only downside for the show, in my eyes, is that it went through that stupid like change in the newer seasons.
Yeah,
And that
because
I
like
was-
Ego Trip was supposed to be the series finale.
it
So,
should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, should have been.
I like the the Couscous, or not Couscous. What's his name? The
We're trying to say
Oh,
Couscous?
the imaginary
Well,
friend who.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The one voiced by that dog from All Dogs Go to Heaven. That guy.
I love that episode. That was so great. There are moments in the show where it's like, to this day, I still vividly remember like songs like "Who is Professor Huck?"
Or the Bigfoot episode. Not the Bigfoot. Yeah, the Bigfoot episode, and then the one with like, oh, I found a better thing. It's a picture of Smoke'em the bear, and it's just like, well, everyone knows Smoke'em exists. Dexter.
There's also the episode where Dee Dee and Dexter like start turning into monsters.
Yeah, I love that one.
I love that episode.
Like the best part of Dexter for me was like whenever they involve either giant monsters or giant robots, because like
yeah, it's great.
anime giant robots was always too intimidating because it was like I can't draw this is too detailed. But like Dexter, it had that slick style, like these simplified mech designs, and they just always looked really cool. And that was like the best part.
The art style in the show in general is just awesome. Like when you compare that to sort of bring it back around to We Bare Bears a little bit, when you compare to that show, I feel like We Bare Bears cut a lot of corners because most of the designs are very similar and all that.
Yeah.
Although Dexter, like I was the first, but it was very like as time went on, it was still derivative of what was going on with Cartoon Network at the time. Like all the Time Squads, Powerpuff Girls, it was all looking the same. Like everybody was doing the thick outline and geometric character designs.
Yeah, I was gonna say about
like that. Like I feel like We Bare Bears is quite limited, and it's not like being specific with a storyline. What you do is necessarily bad, but like Dexter, like it could be anything. That's the beauty of like science fiction is
science fiction can be like very limitless. I was gonna say when we were talking about robots. Like I vividly remember like when I was living with my mom in an apartment at the beach. And I remember in my room after watching Dexter, I was like drawing on a piece of paper. I was like trying to draw like all the things that are in Dexter's lab, because I remember that one episode where like he went to like his unused part of the lab with all of his like inventions that he didn't use anymore. It like really stuck out to me, that memory of like drawing stuff from Dexter's lab.
And then that whole like songs that we used to do for cartoons. Back to the lab again. Oh no, like stuff like that was kind of. But then another thing I just talk about with Dexter, is like we haven't talked about. No, it's just Mandark is just such a likable like villain. So annoying. Just like his voice, like I feel bad for that voice actor because wherever he go, I feel like you're just Mandark. Like I heard him in that freaking Rockadoodle thing. I was like, oh, that's just Mandark as a bird.
Did you hear him in like the Polar Express? He's that one kid. It was like, oh, that's Mandark. What the hell?
Yeah, it's just like that's what you will forever be branded as. Like that voice was just so encaptured. Like that's all I think of when I hear that poor man's voice now. But I think that is just that adds to the show. Like we've talked about like all its merits. Like animation wise, it's great. Story wise, it's great. Like the characters, like Dexter's like dad, you know, pretty much like Saber says, just Randy Marsh, just a toned down version of that. His mom, besides being hot as is one of those just like likable characters.
What was the one episode where Dexter was made to only say one specific thing?
Just like every time he would go on, he was just like, because he was trying to be like,
you could say. That's all you could say.
But then every girl fell in love with him because it was just like, say it in my ear, Ken.
Yes.
Du fromage. Oh, that's so great. But we do someone like this show is so memorable in a sense. Like I still remember that whole like episode where it's just like Dexter's born. He's like, honey, look at the size of his cranium.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like talking about
that one episode with the friggin' like it's just like a kid making up the story.
Mm-hmm.
Like
did. You know that the story goes that this kid sent in the story, his recording, his mother actually helping him because he wanted to write a story for Dexter's Lab, and they used it. I think that's the coolest shit ever.
Yeah, that kid must be like. I wonder how that kid is now. Like, I wonder if he uses that still. Like, you know, I'm that kid.
I looked that up. I looked up that kid now. I think he's like an opera singer for like some stage play or something.
Really?
Wow.
Okay,
good
that's
for him.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's really great.
All
right, so we should probably talk a little bit more about We Bare Bears before we run out of time.
Do we have to?
I think I know like who's gonna win this, so we might as well.
Hold on. I'm gonna throw just a handful of things out there for We Bare Bears before we move forward.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Appreciate. Shut up! I'm gonna do something you didn't suggest. No, but something I do appreciate about We Bare Bears is they pepper in episodes of when the bears were toddlers or kids.
Oh yeah, I love those episodes. They're great.
Those are fun.
Backstory ones.
You get some backstory where it's like, oh, so like Ice Bear has a pretty tragic upbringing in a way, because his mother was, you know, we can only imagine his parents were killed. He was raised by some, you know, adopted father, and they even still kind of throw back to that, where it's like, oh, okay, there's still more to this story.
Yeah, and they recently had like an episode where they showed that Grizzly used to be the star of a TV show in Canada, kind of like a BoJack Horseman type of deal.
Oh my god.
Where they then wrote him out of the show, and he didn't realize that he was actually part of a show, kind of like the Truman Show.
Oh, so it's like Bolt?
I did not even know that.
A Truman Show, Bolt, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
So
that was such a cool episode. Like, they managed to do something with the characters because of their chemistry. Because I feel like they have all the archetypes they need for a good trio in the show. Yeah, so
they work. Ice Bear, the silent one. Grizz, the big, loud, goofy one. Pan, kind of the nervous and particular one. It works. And for what it is, like, just for the record, We Bare Bears is a great show. I think it very much so complements Cartoon Network. I want to keep watching more and see what they
they
do.
use it for advertising a lot.
In Korea, it's like really popular.
There's I think Uniqlo bought that store. Uniqlo is like a clothing line, and they have this store called Miniso with all sorts of different like accessories and all that. And they recently started adding a We Bare Bears line of toys and mugs and all that.
Well, We Bare Bears, nothing against you. You're a good show. I like you, and I like that you made me cameo in you. That was a good little.
Any other final thoughts here before we get to voting?
I mean, it could have won had it been a different matchup. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I'll come out and say right now, I vote for Dexter.
I vote for Dexter.
Yeah,
I
Dexter.
vote for We Bare Bears. Just because
Just say it's a blowout.
nobody else would. Who cares?
Yeah.
Don't be that one that just do what you do. Feel.
I mean, I'm probably going to do it for some of
I
these.
don't care. I don't care. I vote for Gumball again.
We Bare Bears have its pity votes, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
probably going to be doing it for a few shows, so.
A pity vote. Okay, fine.
All right, well, that is this episode then. Dexter's Lab beats We Bare Bears and moves on.
Dexter's
to
Lab is
face
just a
against-
great show.
It's going to be facing against Gumball in the next round.
Yeah.
Not the one we're going to record next, but whatever, the next bracket. All right, Taylor, close us out.
Yeah. So, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.